What do Sonic video game reviews and video game adaptation reviews have in common? Well, they usually start out with the faux history lesson akin to, these types of products had a rocky history, and then they name the most infamous, reputation-ruining examples like the Mortal Kombat live-action movie, or Sonic 06, as if we don't know anything about their history. Well, I'm not going to do that, not because I have some superiority complex over these reviewer cliches, but rather because life is short and I'd be more interested to talk about the aftermath instead. Like the Detective Pikachu movie, the Sonic movie got lukewarm reception, but the respective fanbases ate them up, declaring that the curse of bad video game movie adaptations is finally gone thanks to these movies. I don't know about that. Hello everyone, Alec Elger, the side question gentleman here, and I saw the Sonic the Hedgehog movie that was really hyped up. I saw it twice in fact, and I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. Anyways, I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting this movie to be as highly received as it was, at least by its fan base, because it had everything going against it, and no, it's not because it's a video game movie adaptation. No, I don't really care about that. For one, the Sonic fanbase is very particular about how you portray the character, with some wanting a depiction akin to Jaleel White's overconfident yet caring portrayal you'd see in the Sonic SatAM cartoon, to the Adventure/Dark Age era Sonic who was similar, except voiced by either Ryan Drummond or Jason Griffith. But because those fans have gotten older, they have gotten really particular with who voices Sonic and how you portray Sonic, how you write Sonic. The other reason it had everything going against it was that when the first trailer did finally drop, I think we all know how this story ends. Did you really think this character design was gonna pass? Thank goodness they changed it after the fierce backlash. Speaking of which, that design wasn't the only thing about the first trailer that had me rolling my eyes. No, the first trailer had what I call MCU Star-Lord syndrome, where the character is always cracking jokes and listening to the greatest hits of yesteryear on a portable cassette tape player because it's so cool. It's like, haha, look at me, I'm Sonic synced up to Gangsta's Paradise, this is totally my theme song, I'm a Gangsta Blue Hedgehog, bro, haha, look at me, buy my tickets, give me money. Not to mention that the jokes in the first trailer were so cringeworthy, I wanted to break my laptop screen like, haha, he says meow when he's caught by the police officer, ha, silly Sonic, you're not a cat, you're a f***ing hedgehog. Ugh. You must be fun at parties. You. Now when the second trailer dropped, that was a lot better. New design while still looking like a CG character superimposed in the live action world, this new Sonic looked like the one we knew and then some, like the addition of quills and fur detail, like look at that! You think a high profile game like Sonic Forces would have attempted something like that, especially when Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze did that in 2014. What's your excuse again, Sega? Apparently the visual effects team wanted a more human-like design for Sonic so he could blend in with the real world, but we saw the original trailer. If you're gonna have a CG character in the real world, don't make him look like nightmare fuel. Like, imagine if this movie wasn't based on Sonic, but instead an original character named, I don't know, Blue the Extraterrestrial Possum. Sure, it wouldn't get as much backlash, but the design would still be horrifying to consumers with or without preconceived expectations of what it should look like. Apparently Paramount was aware it might warrant backlash like the reboot Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie did, but they were hoping general audiences wouldn't care, despite riding the coattails of a popular video game franchise that even non-gamers know about. Like, that is some next level obliviousness. Thankfully the backlash was so great they increased the budget so animators can remake the design, although the fanbase did feel some guilt over animators potentially doing overtime and crunch periods just to meet the next release window. I'd like to thank the Moving Picture Company, Marja Animation Planet, Trickster, Digital Domain, and Blur Studio. You've all did a great job making this movie come to life, especially after the negative reception of the original design. Actually revamping the design to look more akin to the Sonic we know and love, that takes a lot of hard work, and it did not go unnoticed. I hope you all have a good future in the animation industry, because I can see great things coming from you all. And while the jokes in the second trailer weren't anything to write home about, they were at the very least chuckle-worthy. And seeing that it was by the producers of the Fast and Furious franchise, it at least promised a serviceable, entertaining, crowd-pleasing action movie. But that also means that the plot will likely be just a means to an end rather than something that stands out. So despite there being an enormous franchise attached to the name Sonic the Hedgehog, I will be judging this movie solely based on its own internal logic, its own universe, its own characters, nothing more, nothing less. I will make some comparisons here and there, but I'm not going to dot points just because Sonic wasn't portrayed like he was in the games in that event. So the Sonic movie begins with one of those cliche scenes where something disastrous is happening to the protagonist. It freezes frame and is all like, "Yup, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation." While a rough generic start to an action movie, I do like the scene with Sonic's childhood as he explains how he was born with these powers and was raised by this owl named Longclaw. It's a nice slice of life segment in this weird alien world, although a bit depressing when the Echidna tribe is hunting him down, forcing him to flee to Earth where he lives for the next 10 years of his life. While Longclaw is a character we only know for a few minutes, this was really sad, and it kind of plays into Sonic's character in the movie, where he's portrayed as overconfident just as a defense mechanism for how truly lonely he really is. We see him compensate for his solitary lifestyle by watching the residents of Green Hill, and everything else he does in this small town is in super speed so no one can catch him. It's really funny, especially seeing him mess with a crazy old man who no one believes. You see, Longclaw told him that if anyone discovers his power, they will try to get it for themselves and he has to keep running, which really does play into the central conflict when the US government hires Dr. Robotnik to capture him after Sonic's super speed causes a massive power outage and they find one of his leftover quills. But unfortunately, this also ties into my main frustration with Sonic in this movie. He saw what his reckless actions did when the Echidna tribe hunted him down as well as his mother figure. Why is he so freaking reckless in this movie? For an alien hedgehog with super speed, he sure loves to blow his cover any chance he gets. Like, I could forgive him running around the baseball diamond when everyone is home and no one knows he's there. And I could understand unintentionally causing a shockwave as he was frustrated by his solitary lifestyle. I could even understand him acting irrationally when Robotnik storms into Officer Tom Wachowski's home and does a countdown before the machine presumably fires upon him. But what I don't understand is when him and Tom go on the run, Sonic can just not keep his cover. Like the bar scene, for example. I'd prefer a Sonic try to keep a low profile, knowing just how dangerous the newly introduced Dr. Robotnik could be, and any cover blown is just a freak accident. That I would understand, but no, we need some laughs, like Sonic riding the mechanical bull, or him taking his disguise off for when he plays that basketball game, or how he uses super speed for dart playing, in front of everyone, mind you. And man, that bar fight I saw coming from a few miles away. Big, bald, angry, muscular dude comes over saying, "We don't like your kind." Really? We don't like your kind. Oh my god, take a shot for every time you've heard that line before. And then there's some sarcastic back and forth between him and the main characters. Sonic refuses to walk away and tries to break a beer bottle over his head, but he's not strong enough, and we really need that PG rating, so yeah, this bar fight isn't gonna attract any unwanted attention. The scene could have worked if Sonic was doing his best to keep his cover, but things beyond their control unraveled conflict. Like, I don't know, Sonic losing his hat and sunglasses on the mechanical bull? That would have made more sense. And man, this scene where they go up the pointed building in San Francisco, Sonic cannot shut up during more crucial moments. To be fair, it was kind of funny when the lady asked if there's a child in there, to which Tom said, "Yes, but it's not ours." That was actually pretty funny. But I just wish the humor didn't make Sonic a reckless moron just for a cheap laugh. A skilled joke writer could make jokes worth within the confines of a fugitive movie. Tom and Sonic are on the run. An exchange between the two about the stakes of this conflict would be nice, and so Sonic can learn from his reckless mistakes beforehand. That's kind of how you write an arc for a character who has experienced loss and has something the antagonist wants. Speaking of which, Dr. Robotnik, played by the legendary comedic actor Jim Carrey, is just what you would expect. He's weird, animated, eccentric, but most importantly, he's funny as hell. While he wouldn't be the first person I choose to play Dr. Robotnik, and he never really captures the spirit of Dean Bristow and Mike Pollock's performances, I don't really care. He's Jim Carrey playing as Dr. Robotnik. He has the weird mustache, he has gadgets, he is portrayed as arrogant and maniacal, and he has an obsessive desire to capture Sonic. That checks off the basic foundations of the character. He's not very intimidating like Dean Bristow's portrayal in Adventure 1 and 2, but when confronting Tom, who is secretly hiding Sonic in his house, you know he will follow through with his threat of making Tom not exist anymore. And him playing around with his gadgets is always entertaining, especially the car chase scene where you think his armored vehicle is done for when they take it out, until a smaller vehicle comes out of that and is still dangerous, and when you think that is down, an even smaller robot comes out of that, and even that has a sticky bomb device with a laser that takes out the roof of the car. Robotnik's portrayal by Carrey isn't the most accurate to the source material, but he twists it to make sure it doesn't really matter. Kind of like what he did with Count Olaf in the original series of Unfortunate Events movie. Does anyone remember that? I mean, it wasn't a great adaptation of the books, but it was pretty entertaining for what it was. The Netflix series is much better though. But back to the subject of the Sonic movie, Dr. Robotnik's portrayal is really interesting. He actually does stuff. He doesn't just summon some monster to do some things, only for it to seriously backfire when all of a sudden Chaos Emeralds are acquired. Like, seriously, I like this Dr. Robotnik. I will admit that he does occasionally go overboard. Like, I wouldn't mind if he was playing music while constructing a new device that would tie into the chase in the final third, and I know his computer is analyzing the quill for its power, but still. Just him dancing for no reason other than a joke where his assistant catches him dancing with himself, I could take it or leave it. Regardless, I did hear that actor Jim Carrey was so dedicated to the role that he suffered from very serious back pain from carrying the entire movie! Ah! I kid. As good as Ben Schwartz was for the voice of Sonic, Jim Carrey made the movie so much better. I like how his arc begins with him as a genius-level scientist working for the government, who throughout the movie is brought down a few pegs, and in the end, we see the origin of the Eggman we all know and love. I was initially concerned that the movie wouldn't do him justice, as he looked nothing like the iconic mad scientist that we grew up with. I mean, he wore that black suit and sunglasses, but the ending finally gives him that iconic long mustache, goggles, and shaved head, and most importantly, his red jacket. That surprisingly justifies the time waiting for that. This isn't a movie just about the origin of Sonic, this is also a movie about the origin of Sonic and Robotnik's rivalry. So Sonic is decent, Robotnik is great, like man, Jim Carrey, I can just praise him all day. But you know which characters aren't great? The original human character, Tom Wachowski, the Donut Lord. Yeah. Tom Wachowski, aka Donut Lord, played by James Marsden of the original X-Men trilogy fame, he was kind of bland to be honest. Like, he is a cop who goes through the cliches of wanting something more out of life, and he's trying to figure out how to break the news of the new police job to his co-workers, but the camera pans to a donut figure, and the scene is like, haha, he was just practicing breaking the news, that's why the camera didn't pan from him to the people he was talking to. I sure subverted your expectations with the powers of cinematography and editing. No movie, you did not. You went for the oldest, most cliche trick in the book, and it was not funny. The most I'm invested in the character is in the beginning of the movie when he's talking about the new job opportunity with his wife. That's all fine and good, and I don't really mind that he's tied into Sonic's story. But the road trip, he doesn't emote anxiety or anger as much as he should. I mean, he is on the run from helping Sonic, yet he still doesn't really show anxiety when he should in that kind of situation. The closest I ever see him display any sense of vulnerability is not when he's falling off the building with his wife, but rather when he's arguing with his sister-in-law before he explains to them just how he got mixed up in all of this. I feel like I should be more invested in him as a character, especially when he helps Sonic take down Robotnik. One of my favorite tropes in fiction is a regular person getting mixed up in a fantasy conflict, but there's just nothing much to it. He doesn't get his wish to go to San Francisco, which was something Sonic was against, because for some reason, the small town of Green Hill needs him? Again, I'm supposed to be siding with Sonic, but he gives me more of a reason to get behind his wish to help more people in San Francisco. Like, that would be an arc I could get behind where Sonic did make a friend, which was something on his bucket list, but sometimes you have to let your friends do what's best for them, even if it means being apart. They could have had a heartfelt goodbye in the end after he and his wife helped Sonic and depart for San Francisco for a new life. Plus, the movie establishes Sonic as fast. He could visit him in San Francisco without much complications. At least Sonic has a family at the end, but still, maybe if they wanted him for more sequels, they could have abandoned the new job opportunity plotline and just had Tom tied up in this mess regardless. I much prefer a desire to return to the status quo if that was taken from Tom after being branded a terrorist. And as for Tom's wife, Maddie, she's alright as a supporting character, but serves more just to move the plot along. It establishes she's a veterinarian, which has payoff for when Sonic is injured after the car chase in the second act. Yeah, he's so injured that smelling salts wakes him up and he's fine. And she joins them on their journey to the Trans-America Pyramid, which Sonic lost his emergency warp rings to earlier. But see what I mean? They're the most basic human characters you can imagine. He's the goody-two-shoes cop that does the right thing and helps the hero get to his goal. And she's the supportive wife who rarely gives him any conflict over this crazy journey. It's almost as if Paramount didn't think that Sonic's friends didn't stand well enough on their own. Wouldn't want your kids movie to be completely 3D animated now. That would make it a kids movie. Wait, what? That's surprisingly not a problem exclusive to the Sonic movie. Other live-action adaptations of things like the Rocky and Bullwinkle movie, as well as the Yogi Bear movie, they always had these generic human characters that we didn't really care about as much as the cartoon characters they were helping. So to do that, except with Sonic, that's just a recipe for disaster. Although of all three of these movies that I mentioned, I think Rocky and Bullwinkle still holds up on its own, despite the generic human character. Everyone else is so cookie cutter as well. The military is what you would expect. They serve nothing more than as a means to introduce Dr. Robotnik, as well as conclude Tom's arc of not being hunted down by the law and erasing any trace of Robotnik's existence, ending their threats. I did like the sister-in-law. She got a lot of laughs despite being a stereotypical contemptuous in-law. I especially liked how she was tied up by her daughter after fainting. That was pretty funny. And really, sometimes a movie can get a genuine laugh, like when Sonic pulls a Quicksilver on the entire bar, or when he quickly sees the world's biggest rubber band ball when Tom refuses to stop and gets a few things at the gift shop. And a good portion of Dr. Robotnik's jokes do land. I especially loved how after he was defeated, he's stranded on the Mushroom Planet, looking messy as hell, and he talks to a rock he named Stone, after his assistant in the movie. That assistant was there just to set up the joke, and it was worth it. It's also funny coming after the line where he says, "My grasp on sanity remains absolute." Even though the humor is not my favorite aspect of this movie is a lot funnier than Colors, Generations, Lost World, and Forces combined. Even if it's a mixed bag of humor, it still gave me more genuine laughter than any of those games. And keep in mind, I'm a casual Sonic fan. I like a lot of the more modern games that sometimes get despised. And aside from Forces, I like all the games I mentioned, but the humor is not one of the reasons I like them. In fact, I actually have to ignore a lot of the story content in those games just to appreciate it. Now, as for the action, it was directed by Jeff Fowler, who wasn't really known for anything other than being an animator, but because the producers were of Fast and Furious fame, the action does not disappoint. The car chase scene is as fun as the trailers made it out to be, and then some. And so is the worldwide chase between Sonic and Robotnik. It was legitimately thrilling to watch. Sure, it was a spectacle fest, and most importantly, it's probably the film's saving grace in addition to Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik, especially seeing the electricity come out of Sonic in the baseball field, as well as the final battle on the streets. And just watching Sonic use the warp rings is a really cool effect from a visual standpoint. My only issue is when Sonic is knocked out twice, I don't really feel the impact I should have because it just bounces him off and knocks him unconscious. I get the movie is supposed to be family friendly and so they can't really show blood and guts. That's not exactly what I would want, so just trick me into feeling a sense of pain for the character. Like when the bomb explodes, just pan away to a shocked expression from Tom, wrap up Sonic's injuries and rush him to the vet. Make him sound like he's about to die any minute. I don't need blood and gore, but if a character is portrayed as getting hurt real bad, instead of just bouncing back, it further legitimizes the threat Robotnik's machines pose to the protagonist. I also cringed when Tom was going on about how Sonic was more human than Robotnik ever will be, and how unlike him, Sonic has friends. To which Sonic wakes up all electrified and motivated. That's a Deus Ex Machina if I ever saw one. Friendship! Better than an AED, so next time you're near death, get your friend today and they will save your life. just by being friends. Do you know how stupid that sounds? I know it's supposed to be a touching moment, but maybe if while he said that, Maddie gave him smelling salt again, it'd be more believable as the movie established that rule previously, but as it is, I just didn't buy it. But I did like how Robotnik was defeated, and I liked how Sonic's cave was moved to Tom and Maddie's attic. Like, that was a good way to end things off. That, as well as Tails appearing off in the distance searching for something and setting up a potential sequel. Oh my god, Tails is going to be in the next movie! Oh man, I can't wait to see it! So, what did I think of Sonic as a movie? After seeing it twice, I don't think it's awful. I judge it based on its own self-contained logic, and sometimes it works really well, and other times it fumbled. Even at its worst, I wasn't bored because the pacing was pretty good and how slower moments were meaningful for character and plot progression, and faster moments were a treat for the eyes. Seriously, they should have this guy direct a Flash movie that was announced for the DCEU, except please make it less kid-friendly. I just wish the supporting characters were more interesting in the more tense moments, and the themes of overcoming loneliness were better earned. I mean, what if there were heart-to-heart moments between Sonic and Tom as they discuss their past and how it affects them today? They could replace a few minutes of the bar scenes with that if it was a matter of keeping the length shorter, as the movie is only an hour and 30 minutes long. I don't need to hear the excuse that it's meant for the children. To hell with that. An American Tail and The Secrets of NIMH were for kids, and it gave me a more meaningful experience that tops even most adult movies. With that said, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is a novel attempt at making a movie franchise out of it. It could have been a lot worse, but it also could have been a lot better, and I'm looking forward to the sequels to remedy all the problems with the first film. Despite some of my issues with the movie, I can honestly see why it's the second best-selling movie of 2020. I can see why it was a success at the box office. It's a crowd-pleasing movie that hits all the right notes for parents and kids. Kids will especially love it, and it might even be their first exposure to Sonic, so much so it brings them towards the series I spent the last 8 years playing. This movie is great for the franchise. Despite the creative deviations from the source material, it's at the very least respectful of their depictions and even takes them seriously at times. It's just not the Sonic movie I was hoping it would be, but there were things that did work for me, and it just makes me more excited for a sequel because it does have the building blocks for a successful film franchise. I just want the sequels to spend more time in these crazy alien worlds we only got seconds to see. They looked weird, colorful, and interesting, and a great depiction of the worlds we saw in the Sonic games. So while I'm not a fan of the Sonic movie, I am a fan of the concept of it, and I cannot wait to see what it becomes. Well, until the next review, thank you all so much for watching, and remember to stay awesome. Oh man, you have no idea how long the journey it was to find you. Me and my associate have been looking for a long time for you, side quest gamer, or now it's like side questian gentleman. Well, it doesn't matter.
Not so fast. You, sir, may look and sound like Alec, but he's more gamer than you'll ever be, because unlike you, he has friends.
I'm alive! Thanks to the power of friendship with Cameron, I am alive, and now I shall beat you up and defeat you in battle. Oh god! Oh god, stop, dude, I give up! Oh, Jesus! You got my eye, oh god, dude! Alright, form a trampoline. I'm jumping. SQG clone Jim, I'm afraid I regret to inform you that our funding has been cut.
Even though he has enough money to fund his interdimensional military, it's probably what 60% of our planet's budget has been going to. I'm afraid our funding for our small little project has been cancelled. However, we aren't going to go down lightly. This will be the last time I contact you. Release Abel and SideQuest aside.